Welcome back to It's a Miracle. We're always amazed by people's stories of surviving natural disasters like tornadoes, floods, earthquakes, and hurricanes. Sometimes they survive through their own strength and courage, but sometimes, like the miraculous story we have for you now, survival depends upon an outside force, a guardian angel. On August 26, 1992, a Category 5 hurricane slammed into southern Florida, destroying entire communities and causing millions of dollars in damage. But for one family, Hurricane Andrew was also the beginning of a miracle. Jan and Greg Bruguera will never forget that night.
We were afraid that the roof was going to blow off, the shutters were coming off. At any moment, the door would blow in. We really didn't know what exactly was hitting the house. It was loud, like explosions, and we actually thought that we would die.
Luckily, their house withstood the incredible gale force winds, and by morning they were able to assess the damage.
I was the first one to walk out after everything had subsided, and I couldn't believe what I didn't see. It looked like a bomb had gone off outside. All the debris from trees, every light pole had been snapped, all the telephone lines and power lines were laying in the yard. It left you standing there for a moment and you had to catch your breath.
We realized we were not going to have power, water, phones for a very long time. And we realized we were on our own. There was no one there to help you. You had to take care of yourself.
Keep coming. Almost.
Jan's father, Dale Collins, drove all the way to Georgia to find a small portable generator. They installed it in the garage where it would be safe from looters, and it made life a little more bearable.
The generator enabled us to have air conditioning, electricity, a burner on our stove that we could use, a washing machine. It enables us to have some creature comforts.
What the generator couldn't provide was telephone service.
That's not gonna work.
You never know, miracles do happen.
And because phone lines had been blown down all over Miami, it would take weeks before they were fixed.
So we realized we were on our own again with no communication with anyone.
For Jan Bruguera, this was a major concern.
Hi, sweetie.
Hi.
You okay?
Yeah,
Jan was an insulin-dependent diabetic,
you worry too much.
and the phone was her lifeline in case of emergency.
I felt extremely vulnerable because if you needed help, there was no one to turn to.
Oh, it's a hot one, huh?
A week after the hurricane, life in the disaster zone had settled into a daily routine.
My dad and I had made a makeshift clothesline, and as we were out there hanging up our laundry, we noticed there was a man in our backyard, and he was at the telephone pole.
Who's that guy over there?
What's he doing here?
Looks like he's fixing some of the telephone lines or something.
Did you let
He seemed to be working on the connections out there, and I thought that was strange because there was no phones in the area, there were no power poles in the area, they were all on the ground.
I thought at the time this was wonderful. This person was fixing our phone.
Where'd he go?
I don't know.
By the time they finished hanging their clothes, the man out back had disappeared. As they re-entered the house, Dale decided to try the kitchen phone.
Honey, the phone's working.
You're kidding.
No, check it out.
Wow. Oh my gosh, it's working.
I was thrilled to see we had a phone. I had so many people I wanted to call and just see how they were and talk to people.
Word spread quickly, and soon neighbors were stopping by to use the only working phone in the area.
People started coming over, people we didn't know, just to call other people to let them know they were okay.
Okay guys, it's gonna be some air in just a few minutes.
That night, Jan Bruguera had a full house. Greg's aunt and uncle, who'd arrived to help with the recovery, shared the master bedroom. Everyone else spread out where they could, hoping to escape from the heat by sleeping as close to the air conditioner as possible.
Being able to sleep without an air conditioner would have been impossible from the heat and the humidity. So having the air conditioner really helped us sleep peacefully, and it gave us also peace of mind.
At about 2 a.m., Jan woke up with a strange feeling.
I knew something was wrong, and I automatically assumed it was an insulin reaction because I wasn't able to get up off the floor. I remember laying there just trying to move my arms, trying to move my legs, but nothing was happening. And mentally, I kept telling myself, just get up, get up.
When she finally made it to her feet and staggered out to find help, no one responded to her call. While recovering from the devastating effects of Hurricane Andrew, the Bruguera family of Miami, Florida, received 2 strokes of good luck. First, they were able to buy a generator that would provide them much-needed power. And second, a repairman chose their home to reconnect downed lines and restore their telephone service. This was especially important since Jan Bruguera was an insulin-dependent diabetic. And then in the middle of the night, Jan woke disoriented and barely able to move. As she struggled to get help, she suddenly lost consciousness and fell.
I remember hearing a loud crashing type noise, and I realized that my wife had fallen to the ground. Her father and I picked her up and we took her into the bathroom. She was very pale, almost looked like a ghost. That's how pale she was.
Yeah, I think I just need some sugar.
Sugar?
Like that.
Hey, Dad, you got some sugar? It's in the kitchen.
I thought I was having an insulin reaction because I was sweating profusely, and that's one of the symptoms of a low blood sugar.
2 minutes later, when Dale had not returned, Greg went out to see what was keeping him. He found Dale pass out on the floor with the candy lying nearby.
Hey, Jan, something's wrong with your dad, okay? You get this, I'll get it with you.
And I came right back to check on her dad. Out of nowhere, I just passed out.
What the heck's going on out there?
The sound of Greg's fall woke up his Uncle Charlie and his Aunt Maggie.
And he got up out of bed and walked out to see what had happened. But he never returned.
Even as dazed as she was, Jan realized that there was more going on here than an adverse insulin reaction.
Aunt Maggie! Dial 911!
We have something wrong here. We need help. There's people collapsing. We can't seem to get moving or breathe right. They said it sounds like carbon monoxide poisoning.
I was terrified when I saw everything that was happening around me. My husband was passed out in the dining room. Charlie was passed out on the living room floor, and I had no idea where my dad was at that time. The only thing I could think of to do was to go to the glass door and open it.
A short while later, an emergency rescue team arrived on the scene.
They found my father, and they put him on a stretcher and immediately took him outside. They administered oxygen and immediately took us to a hospital. And we were in there for approximately 6 hours with oxygen.
When Jan and Greg arrived home, they discovered that the source of their debilitating physical problems was located in the garage.
We did not run an exhaust outside for the generator in the garage, so the fumes had entered into the house through the attic. And the fumes were poisoning us with the carbon monoxide as we were sleeping.
But when they tried to call their relatives with the information, they were in for a surprise.
There was nothing.
There was absolutely no sound, no noise from it whatsoever.
That's so weird.
There was no dial tone. It was just completely dead, the phone. There was nothing.
It wasn't until 2 months later that their phones were finally working again. Jan was very grateful for that one critical night of phone service.
If we didn't have a phone that one night, I truly believe we all would have died.
And so she called the phone company to thank the repairman who'd fixed their phone line long enough to save their lives.
Hi, I'm trying to locate a telephone repairman that was at my house August 31st repairing our phone. Really?
The operator told me that there was no way anyone could have ever restored our phone service.
Huh. You're sure?
The damage in the area that we lived in was so extensive. That's why it took so many months just to restore the phone service.
Hey, look at that guy over there.
What's he doing here?
Who was the man who Jan and her father saw working on the telephone lines in her yard that day?
I have no idea who this person was. The only thing I can think of is that he was an angel.
Boy, there's an optimist if I ever saw him.
There was no phones. This man suddenly appears, and we have phones. I believe what happened was a miracle.
Now, Maggie, dial 911.
We have something wrong here.
I thought about it, and I realized that we had a guardian angel looking over us, and that's why we had a phone, just for that one night.
They said it sounds like carbon monoxide poisoning.
I get peace of mind knowing that I'm never alone and that I always have an angel with me. And I truly believe in angels now.
Hurricanes continue to batter the Florida coast, but no winds can topple the belief of the Brugueras that they were visited by a guardian angel.